A school genealogy project led to a DNA test and uncovered that my son isn't mine, but my brother's. And the worst part? I didn't see it coming. Not from her. Not from him. I'm Ben Carter, 38. I do taxes for a living, which tells you everything about me. Quiet guy. Numbers guy. I like clean rows, balanced books, and routines that don't break. My idea of chaos is a missing receipt. My wife, Melissa, she's poetry. Literally. Owns a cozy little bookstore 2 blocks from downtown. People adore her. She's the kind of woman who remembers birthdays, quotes Rumi, and makes strangers feel like they've known her for years. But at home, she's quieter. Slippery sometimes. There's a distance in her even when she's close. I used to think it was just her way, an artistic thing. Now I wonder if it was always something else. We've been married 12 years. We have a son, Liam. 11 years old, brilliant little mind, always asking questions. Especially this one. Dad, what's our ancestry? I have to do a family tree for school. That's how it started. Not with a scream. Not with a lipstick stain. Just that innocent question, flung across the breakfast table with a spoon in his cereal. Family tree. I asked, half focused on my coffee. Sure. English and Scottish on my side. Your mom's got Irish and Portuguese, right? Melissa looked up from her phone. Yep. Nana Rosa danced fado in the kitchen every Sunday. You used to love that story, remember? Liam grinned. Can we do one of those DNA kits too? Ms. Turnbull said it'd be cool to add genetics. I looked at Melissa. She shrugged, easy. Could be fun. And that was that. A casual Amazon order. 3 test kits. Swab, seal, send. Liam's came in first, 5 days later. We were in the kitchen again. Always the kitchen. The fridge humming behind us, sunlight bleeding through the blinds. He clicked the email before I could even sit down. Whoa, he said, eyes wide. I'm 24% Irish. And look, 18% Portuguese. Melissa leaned over his shoulder, laughing. Told you Nana Rosa was real. I smiled. Then I saw it. Parent matches. Mother, Melissa Carter, confirmed. Father, no match found. Must be some glitch, I said aloud. Too fast. Too forced. Melissa didn't notice. She was already wiping syrup from Liam's cheek. But I noticed. And that night, when the house went still and the only sound was the hum of our dishwasher, I sat alone at the kitchen table, rereading those results under the harsh glow of the overhead light. No match. 0% relation. I wasn't Liam's father. Not biologically. Not genetically. Not according to the numbers that had never lied to me before. I didn't sleep. Instead, I stared at the ceiling fan, feeling like the room was spinning with it. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to confront Melissa. Not yet. Not without being absolutely sure. So I ordered another DNA test. For myself. And one more. For my brother. There's a unique kind of silence that hits when you realize your whole life might be built on a lie. Not loud. Not violent. Just hollow. I sat at my desk, home office, corner of the house, barely big enough for the IKEA table I built 6 years ago when Liam started kindergarten. The same desk where I did our taxes, paid bills, calculated summer vacation budgets down to the penny. And now? Now I was staring at numbers I didn't recognize. My DNA results had arrived. I should have waited. Should have had Melissa here. Should have played it cool. But I didn't. I opened the report like I was ripping off a Band-Aid. Ethnicity breakdown? Fine. Nothing surprising. But when I clicked over to Family Connections, my stomach dropped. No match to Liam. Not his father. Not even his distant relative. 0% shared DNA. No overlap. No mistake. I clicked again. Refreshed. Logged out. Logged back in. Checked the date. Checked the sample ID. Checked it all. Same answer. I stared at the screen like it might change its mind. It didn't. I felt this cold wave move through my chest, like someone poured ice water over my heart. I couldn't breathe, not properly. I've faced audits more intense than this, but nothing prepared me for the quiet horror of scientific confirmation that your son isn't your son. Except he is. He's mine in every way that matters. His first bike ride, I held the seat. His first broken arm, I carried him into the ER. Every night terror. Every homework struggle. Every bedtime story. That was me. And yet the data was absolute. Liam and I don't share a drop of blood. Still, I had to be sure. Maybe the sample was contaminated. Maybe there was a mix-up at the lab. But the odds? Slim. So I waited. For the other test. My brothers. Zach Carter. 2 years younger. Same crooked smile, same scar under his chin from a baseball bat in high school. He'd calmed down a lot since then, ditched the party scene, found God in a rehab group, started mentoring troubled teens. Everyone loves Zach, especially Melissa. No, I pushed that thought down so hard it made my jaw ache. Zach mailed his kid a day after I did. I told him it was for fun, part of Liam's school project. He bought it, didn't ask questions, just laughed and said, "Sure, man. Always wanted to know if I'm part Viking." His results came in that Friday. I was at work, tapping out a spreadsheet for a logistics client when the email popped up on my phone. Subject line, Zach Carter, your DNA results are in. I didn't open it. Not right away. I stared at the email like it had a pulse. My fingers were shaking. I locked myself in the break room bathroom, sat on the closed toilet seat, staring at the door, as if someone might knock and stop me from seeing the truth. Then I opened it, scrolled, heart thudding. There it was. Close matches. Nephew, Liam Carter, 48. 6% shared DNA. Predicted relationship, parent/child or full sibling. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't break the phone. I just sat there, the walls closing in, while the fluorescent light above me flickered like a damn horror movie. It wasn't a theory anymore. Zach is Liam's biological father. And Melissa? She'd known. She had to. The timeline wasn't hard to trace. 11 years ago. That night she stayed late to help Zach move into his new condo. I remember it now. She came home glowing. Said they laughed about old college memories. That he made her feel young again. Back then, I thought nothing of it. Why would I? He was my brother. My best man at our wedding. And now? He's the father of my child. But here's the thing. I didn't confront her. Not that night. Not the next day. I printed the results. All of them. Mine. Liam's. Zach's. Put them in a manila folder. Wrote one word on the front in black ink. Truth. And I slid it into the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Under old tax returns and property records. Like a loaded gun, hidden in plain sight. Because I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to plan. I had enough evidence to shatter our lives in an instant. But I wanted to see her lie to my face one more time. The folder sat in my desk drawer like a ticking bomb. Every morning, I'd open that drawer just to see it. Just to remind myself it was real. Truth. I could have thrown it at Melissa that first night. Screamed, demanded, exposed. But rage is a fire that burns fast. And I wasn't looking for fire. I wanted surgery. Precise. Clean. Devastating. So instead, I played the role. Loving husband. Doting dad. Brother who smiles at the family barbecue. But inside I was studying them. Watching them like a man who just found out his house has termites in the walls. It was a Sunday morning when I asked Melissa, real casual, "Hey, remember when you helped Zach move back in the day?" She blinked, pouring herself coffee. Which time? 11 years ago. His old condo on Riverside. Oh, she smiled. God, that was forever ago. Why? I shrugged. Just remembered how happy you looked that night. Thought maybe we were finally turning a corner back then. Her face softened, like the memory meant something sweet. We were, she said. That's around when we got pregnant with Liam. I nodded slowly. I wanted to ask her if she remembered the exact night, the exact moment, the exact lie, but I didn't. Instead, I tested her another way. I asked her to swab again. For fun, I said. Let's double-check the ancestry breakdowns. You know, some kids give more detail now. She didn't blink. Sure, why not? So I ordered another test for her. Same brand, same lab, no excuses. She mailed it the next day. When it came back 2 weeks later, I opened it alone. Melissa was, unsurprisingly, Liam's biological mother. No mix-up, no switch at the hospital, no technical glitch. It was her. And Zach. Not me. The night after her results came in, we had dinner like usual. Liam was talking about a group project, something about volcanoes and baking soda. Melissa was laughing. She reached across the table and wiped ketchup from his chin with her thumb. That moment, that little moment, it made me want to scream. Because I realized she wasn't just lying to me. She was lying to him. To Liam. Every smile, every bedtime story, every daddy loves you, tucked between the sheets, a lie wrapped in comfort. I excused myself after dinner. Said I had a headache. Went to the garage, sat in the dark with the door closed, and let myself feel it. The betrayal. The heartbreak. The way my own family tree now felt like a chopped down stump. But I still didn't confront her. Because I had one more test to run. I needed to see Zach. I texted him that week. Hey man, lunch sometime. Just us. He replied in minutes. Absolutely. Been too long. We met at a sports bar near his office. Same place we used to go after flag football games. Same booth. Same stupid framed jersey on the wall. Zach looked good. Tanned. Confident. His sleeves were rolled up, showing the tattoo he got in college that mom still doesn't know about. He ordered wings. I ordered water. My stomach was a war zone. How's Mel? He asked, biting into a drumstick. She's good, I said. Busy. The bookstore's doing well. He nodded. And Liam? Growing like a weed. Getting smarter, too. Sharp kid. Zach smiled. A proud smile. Too proud. I wanted to ask, why does it make you proud? Instead, I watched his eyes. Studied every twitch, every shift. And then I said it. You know, Liam's class is doing this ancestry project. DNA stuff. Family trees. Zach nodded. Yeah? I leaned in just slightly. Crazy thing is, his DNA doesn't match mine. His chewing slowed. Just a tick. What do you mean? I kept my tone light. Like, not even a little. 0%. I triple-checked. Silence. He reached for his beer, took a sip. You think the test was wrong? He asked, voice casual. No, I don't. He set the glass down. Didn't meet my eyes. Then he said something I'll never forget. You gonna talk to Melissa? I stared at him. That was it. No denial. No confusion. Just a soft admission, hidden inside a question. I leaned back. Eventually. He nodded, like he understood. Like he expected this. Then, quieter. It was a long time ago, Ben. One mistake. One night. I smiled. But it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of a man who just found his enemy sitting across from him, wiping buffalo sauce from his fingers. One night, I repeated. That's all it takes, huh? He didn't answer. Didn't need to. I left the bar without finishing my water. I didn't look back. Some truths come like a scream. Others whisper. Mine came in numbers. Cold, clinical, impossible to ignore. I waited until the house was empty. Melissa had taken Liam to her mother's for the weekend. Some last-minute birthday dinner. She kissed me on the cheek before leaving and said, You okay? You seemed off lately. I'm fine, I told her, smiling. And I was. Because I finally had what I needed. I opened the folder, Truth, and laid the pages out across the kitchen table like evidence in a murder trial. Which, in a way, it was. A quiet, methodical murder of trust, of family, of everything I thought we were building. Page 1, Liam's DNA profile. Page 2, mine. Page 3, Melissa's, her maternal match confirmed. Page 4, Zach's. That was the one that mattered. 48.6% shared DNA with Liam. Predicted relationship, parent/child. Not uncle, not cousin, father. I stared at that line until the letters blurred. Until the screen of my laptop felt too bright and the air felt too still. You think you're prepared for a moment like that? After the suspicion, after the clues, after watching them from the corner of your eye for weeks. But nothing prepares you for confirmation. This wasn't a theory anymore. This was reality. My wife had a child with my brother. And for 11 years, they let me raise him. Let me wear the mask of fatherhood while they whispered behind my back. If not out loud, then in memory. In guilt. In silence. I tried to remember that time. 11 years ago, Zach was in between jobs, drifting after another failed sales gig. He'd crashed on our couch for a few weeks before finding a place across town. Melissa had helped him move. Said it was no big deal. Said I didn't have to come. She'd bonded with Zach over old family photos while packing boxes. She came home flushed, hair messy, smiling like a girl who'd heard a great secret. I thought nothing of it. Why would I? He was my brother. My best man. I went out that night. Needed air. Drove aimlessly through the suburbs, past all the well-lit porches and tidy lawns. Families watching Netflix. Dads throwing footballs. Moms pouring wine. It all looked so normal. Like my life used to be. Like it still was on the outside. But I knew the truth now. And the truth doesn't care how many birthday parties you hosted. Or how many school lunches you packed. Or how many times your son called you dad, without knowing the man who made him was standing 3 feet away, smiling like an uncle. I came home just after midnight. Sat in the dark at the kitchen table. Stared at the results again. I didn't cry. Not then. But I did something else. I opened a new folder on my laptop. Named it Heritage Night. And I started planning. The next morning, I made pancakes. Liam's favorite. Chocolate chips and whipped cream. He sat at the table in his Spider-Man pajamas, swinging his feet, talking about a science fair coming up. Melissa walked in wearing the oversized shirt I bought her for Christmas last year. The one that said coffee first, adulting later. She smiled, leaned in, kissed my cheek. Morning, chef. I smiled back. Morning, love. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do. You never know the moment everything changes. Not when you're in it. Only after, when you're rewinding memories like surveillance footage, trying to spot the glitch. It was a Thursday night, 11 years ago. Late summer. Hot. The kind of heat that clings to your skin long after the sun sets. Zach had just signed the lease on a one-bedroom across town. I remember because I offered to help him move, and he waved me off. Nah, he said. Melissa offered. Said she owed me a favor. I'd just come back from a long day at the firm. Audit season. I was dead on my feet. The idea of hauling boxes in the heat sounded like hell. So I stayed home. Watched a rerun of The Office on the couch with a cold beer. Melissa left around 6:30. Said she'd be back by 9. She got home after midnight. I remember the way she walked in. Hair down. Skin flushed. That soft little hum she did when she was in a good mood. Like a private song only she could hear. She floated into the kitchen, dropped her keys in the bowl, and grabbed a glass of water. Hey, I said from the couch, glancing at the clock. Everything okay? She froze for a fraction of a second. Just long enough to notice. Yeah, she said, smiling. Sorry. Took longer than I thought. We got talking about college stuff. You know, the old days. I remember she was glowing. Radiant in a way I hadn't seen in a while. Back then, I thought it was nostalgia. Some innocent high from reconnecting with family. I thought, she looks happy. Now I know what that glow really was. She'd just slept with my brother. The next morning, she made breakfast. Eggs, toast, orange juice with just the right amount of pulp, the way I liked it. She kissed me on the back of the neck as I typed out expense reports. I had fun last night, she said. Felt like myself again. I remember smiling. I remember saying, you should hang out with Zach more often. It's good for you. And she kissed me again. Said nothing. Because what could she say? A few weeks later, she told me she was pregnant. We hadn't been trying. Not really. But I was over the moon. We danced in the living room. She cried. I called my parents. Zach hugged me at a family dinner and said, you're gonna be a great dad, man. He knew. He knew. I look back now, and everything is different. The way Melissa hesitated when I wanted to paint the nursery blue. The way Zach offered to babysit more than necessary. The way she deflected when people asked who Liam looked like. I think he's a mix, she'd say, laughing. Strong genes on both sides. Yeah, just not my side. I pulled out an old photo last night. The three of us. Me, Melissa, and Zach. Thanksgiving, 10 years ago. Melissa's pregnant. I'm carving the turkey. Zach's standing behind her, hand on her shoulder. His fingers are curled just slightly. Intimate. Familiar. Back then, I thought nothing of it. Now it makes my skin crawl. Here's the part that keeps me up. Did she ever love me? Or was I just a safety net? A good man. A quiet man. Someone stable to raise the mistake she couldn't face. And Zach, did he regret it? Or did he enjoy the secret? Watching me raise his son while he played the lovable uncle? I don't know. But I do know this. That night, 11 years ago, when she walked through our door glowing like a woman in love. That was the night she chose him over me. People think betrayal looks like screaming and slammed doors. But sometimes it looks like a shared smile across a backyard barbecue. It was a Saturday. The kind where the grill's hot by noon, the kids are screaming through sprinklers, and the neighbors act like they actually like each other. Melissa had organized the whole thing, sent out the invites, set up the folding chairs, arranged the cute little toothpick flags and the sliders. She was good at that, building illusions. Zach showed up late, as usual, beer in one hand, his other raised in a lazy wave like he owned the place. Uncle Zach, Liam shouted, breaking from the group of boys to run at him full speed. Zach scooped him up, spun him around like it was the most natural thing in the world. I watched from the grill, spatula in hand, as my son, their son, wrapped his arms around the man who had ruined my life. I smiled. I waved. And inside, something cold curled deeper in my chest. Later, I was refilling the cooler when I noticed them. Melissa and Zach, off to the side by the garden beds. She was laughing at something he said, head tilted, hand brushing his arm like a reflex. And the look he gave her? It wasn't casual. It wasn't innocent. It was familiar, possessive, like someone remembering the feel of her skin. She turned and caught me watching. And in that split second, I saw it. Panic, flickering just beneath her smile, like a glitch in the simulation. But she didn't flinch. Melissa was always good under pressure. She walked over, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "You need anything, babe?" I shook my head, just enjoying the show. She laughed. "Well, don't let the burgers burn." Then she turned back to the guests like she hadn't just shared a loaded moment with the father of her child. That night, after everyone left and Liam was passed out in his room, I sat on the porch with a whiskey and the folder in my lap. Truth. I opened it. Read the results again like I hadn't memorized every number. Zach, 48. 6% match. Melissa, confirmed maternal parent. Me, 0. The paper didn't lie, but they did. And they were still doing it. Still pretending. Like I hadn't already seen behind the curtain. The next morning, Melissa was in the kitchen making coffee. Hair tied up, wearing my old college hoodie. I stepped behind her, wrapped my arms around her waist, and kissed her neck. She leaned into me, sighing. "What's this for?" I smiled. "Just love you, that's all." And I felt her body relax under my touch. She had no idea I already knew. She had no idea I was planning the end. Revenge doesn't always come with shouting. Sometimes, it's a signature on a document your wife doesn't even know exists. I met with the lawyer on a rainy Wednesday. Downtown office, 11th floor. The kind of place with too much glass and not enough soul. The receptionist smiled too hard. The pen on the clipboard was too smooth. Everything felt like a performance. Perfect. "Mr. Carter," the estate attorney said, shaking my hand. "How can we help you?" I leaned forward, slid a folder across the polished desk. "Simple," I said. "I want to update my will. I left Melissa nothing. Not the house. Not the accounts. Not the insurance. Instead, I created a trust. Liam would inherit everything, but with safeguards. A trustee. Financial guidance. Protections from outside influence. Legally, I couldn't name her in the documents as someone to exclude, but I could make her invisible. The house. Transferred into the trust under Liam's name. Effective immediately. My business shares. Locked into the trust as well. Retirement, savings, stocks. Designated to fund Liam's future, college, housing, therapy, whatever he'd need once the truth cracked his world open. Because it would. Eventually. When I got home that evening, Melissa was lighting candles in the living room. She smiled when she saw me. "Wine?" she asked, holding up a glass. "Sure," I said. Long day. We sat on the couch. Liam was at a sleepover. The house was quiet. She curled into me, like nothing was wrong. Like she wasn't living in a house she'd be legally erased from by morning. I sipped the wine and smiled. A week later, I had everything finalized. And that night, I started planning the next move. Heritage Night. I told Melissa it was Liam's idea. A school-inspired celebration of ancestry and where we come from. We could invite the family, I said, casual as ever. Make it fun. Food, stories, DNA kits, show Liam his roots. Melissa lit up. That's such a sweet idea. She kissed me, said I was the best dad ever. And I felt nothing. Because this time, I was playing the lie better than she ever had. A few nights later, Zach texted me. "Zach, hey, heard about Heritage Night. Should I bring wine or whiskey?" I stared at the message. Smiled. Me. Bring both. We'll make it a night to remember. The best lies are wrapped in love. And the best revenge looks like a family dinner. The invitation read like something out of a lifestyle magazine. Join us for a cozy Carter family heritage night. A fun evening of food, laughter, and ancestry discoveries. Melissa designed the Evite. She even picked the little cartoon DNA helix that danced next to Liam's smiling face. She sent it out to my parents, her parents, Zach, my cousins, even Liam's godparents. She was glowing again, floating through the kitchen with her iPad and color-coded shopping list, asking about charcuterie boards and what wine pairs best with Portuguese cuisine. "Do you think your mom will bring her photo albums?" she asked, slicing cheese into perfect little cubes. "Probably," I said. "She loves this stuff." Melissa beamed. "This is going to be special. For Liam. For all of us." I looked at her across the kitchen island. She had no idea. No idea that the entire evening was being choreographed for one purpose. Exposure. A few nights before the party, I walked into Liam's room. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor, working on his family tree poster for school. Lines and branches sprawled across it in black Sharpie. My name sat neatly under the father box. He looked up at me. Do you think we'll find any cool surprises with the DNA stuff? I swallowed hard. Maybe, I said. Sometimes surprises aren't bad, just unexpected. He grinned. I hope I'm descended from Vikings. That would be awesome. I smiled back. Forced. Tight. Because the only invasion coming wasn't from the past. Friday afternoon, the day before the party, I visited the lawyer one last time. I want this copy notarized, I told him, sliding the final version of the trust documents across his desk. And I want it filed by Monday. He nodded. You're sure? I didn't hesitate. Completely. Saturday arrived. The house smelled like garlic and roasted pork. Melissa had been cooking since morning, her hair tied up in a red scarf, her face flushed with excitement. Liam helped set the table. White plates, cloth napkins, DNA kits stacked neatly next to each guest's name card. Zach arrived first. Of course. He carried 2 bottles, one red, one brown, and a bouquet of white lilies he handed to Melissa with a sheepish grin. For the hostess, he said. She blushed. Actually blushed. I watched from the kitchen. Breathed. Counted. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Glad you could make it, I said, shaking his hand a little too tightly. He laughed. Wouldn't miss it. No, I bet you wouldn't. The rest of the family trickled in. Hugs. Kisses. Laughter echoing off the walls of a house built on deception. Everyone sat down around the table. The food looked beautiful. Melissa stood to give a little speech, something about family and history and how proud she was to raise a son who values where he comes from. Liam smiled up at her, wide-eyed. She squeezed his shoulder, then turned to me. Ready, babe? I nodded. Walked over to the laptop. Connected it to the living room TV. Let's see what the Carter DNA looks like. The screen flickered. A folder appeared. Truth. I hovered the mouse over it. Melissa laughed nervously. What, no password? You're braver than I am. Zach chuckled. The room buzzed with anticipation. And then, I double-clicked. Every lie has a half-life. Tonight, hers expired. The folder labeled Truth opened on the TV screen. Silence. All 12 of us sat in the living room, plates balanced on knees, wine glasses half full, faces lit blue by the glow of the screen. Liam was nestled between Melissa and Zach on the couch. I stood next to the TV with the laptop in my hands, trying not to let my fingers shake. Melissa laughed, just a little. Babe, she said, that sing-song voice she used when she was nervous. You're making this feel like a murder mystery. I smiled. Oh, it is. Zach raised his glass. Plot twist coming. Something like that, I said. Click. The first slide filled the screen. DNA results, Liam Carter. Maternal match, Melissa Carter. Paternal match, no match to Benjamin Carter. A long pause. Melissa blinked. Wait, what's this? I said nothing. Just clicked again. Slide 2. DNA results, Benjamin Carter. Shared DNA with Liam, 0%. The room started to shift. You could feel it. Chairs creaked. Glasses clinked. My mom whispered, what? Liam looked up at me. Dad. Melissa turned to me, her face pale. Ben, what is this? I ignored her. Clicked again. Slide 3. DNA results, Zachary Carter. Shared DNA with Liam, 6%. Predicted relationship, parent/child. The room imploded in silence. Liam sat completely still. Melissa's hand slowly slid off his shoulder. Zach, he didn't move. Didn't blink. Didn't even breathe, as far as I could tell. Is this a joke? Melissa finally asked. Her voice was tight. Cracked. Ben, what the hell is this? I set the laptop down on the coffee table. Looked her dead in the eyes. This, I said, is what you've been hiding for 11 years. My mom stood up. Melissa, is this true? Melissa stood, shaking. No, this isn't. Ben, this is cruel. Zach finally spoke. Okay, everyone needs to calm down. Shut up, I said. Quiet. Controlled. You don't get to talk. Melissa looked at Zach, then back at me. You tested him? She whispered. I tested myself. Then Liam. Then Zach. Because something felt wrong. And I trusted numbers more than I trusted either of you. Liam's voice broke through the chaos. Mom. She turned toward him. Her hands were trembling. Sweetheart, this is complicated. No, it's not, I said. It's math. Zach stood. Ben, please, don't do this here. Here. I laughed. You mean with the family? In the house I paid for? Under the roof you helped destroy? Ben. Melissa started, reaching for me. I stepped back. Don't. She froze. Her mouth opened like she wanted to explain, to spin, to cry. But there was nothing left to say. The numbers were on the screen. The truth was in the room. And Liam? Liam looked between us all. His mother, his uncle, the man he'd called father for his whole life. Then he stood up and walked out the front door without a word. There's a difference between breaking a man's heart and breaking his silence. Tonight, I stopped protecting the wrong people. Liam was sitting on the front steps when I caught up to him. No tears, no shaking, just that stiff, still kind of quiet only kids understand. Like if they don't move, the pain can't find them. I sat beside him, didn't speak. Not at first. We just listened to the sounds of the night. Cars in the distance, a dog barking, a sprinkler clicking on somewhere down the street. Finally, he whispered, "Is it true?" I nodded. "I didn't want you to find out like this." He looked at me then. His face was pale, older somehow. "So, Uncle Zach is my real dad." I shook my head slowly. "No, Liam. He's your biological father. That's not the same thing." Silence again. Then, quietly, like a kid afraid of the answer. "Did you know? All this time?" "No," I said. "I found out a few months ago. I wanted to be sure before I said anything. I needed proof." He stared down at his hands. Why would she lie to us? His voice cracked on the word lie, and that sound nearly broke me in half. I placed my hand gently on his back, felt his ribs tremble under my palm. Because sometimes people want to keep things perfect, even if it means pretending. We sat there for 10 minutes, maybe 20. Then I heard the front door open. Melissa stepped out first, barefoot, mascara streaked. Zach was behind her, staying on the porch like a man who knew better than to walk into fire. "Liam," she said, voice raw. "Sweetheart, can we please talk?" He didn't answer, so she tried again. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this." I stood. "No, but you let it happen like this. You let it happen every day for 11 years. Melissa looked at me, and for the first time, she didn't reach for an excuse. She just nodded, eyes full of defeat. Then I turned to Zach. "Your turn." He looked down, then back up at me. "It was one night," he said. I laughed, sharp, humorless. "You've said that already. But let me ask you something, Zach. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you come to birthdays, family dinners, Christmas mornings, look me in the eye while I raised your son?" He swallowed hard. "I didn't know. Not at first." "Bullshit," I snapped. He blinked. "You knew the moment he was born. He had your nose. Your damn eyes. Don't act surprised now. Don't insult me more." He looked away. "I didn't want to ruin your life," he said softly. "You did. You just watched it happen slowly." Melissa stepped off the porch, tried to touch my arm. I flinched. She dropped her hand. "I didn't want to lie," she said. "But you did. Every day?" Tears filled her eyes again. "It wasn't just about the lie, Ben. It was fear. I was scared you'd leave, that you'd stop loving him." I stared at her. "I don't love Liam because he's mine. I love him because I've been his father. Every day, every scraped knee, every school project, every nightmare." She crumbled. "Please, please don't take him from me." I looked her in the eye. "I'm not taking anything. But what you built." I pointed to the door, to the house, to everything we shared. "It's gone." Liam stood. "I want to go inside." I nodded. We walked in together, just the two of us. Melissa didn't follow. Zach didn't speak. And for the first time in months, I felt something like peace. There's a sound a liar makes when the truth finally lands. It's not a scream. It's a silence too heavy to hold. The house was still. Liam had gone up to his room without saying a word. I didn't stop him. He needed space. Hell, so did I. But Melissa? She stood in the doorway like a statue. Eyes glazed, lips slightly parted. Like she was waiting to wake up from the dream she set in motion a decade ago. And Zach? Gone. He didn't say goodbye. Just vanished into the night like the coward he's always been. I poured myself a drink. Didn't bother offering her one. She finally walked in, sat down across from me on the edge of the couch. She didn't touch anything, just stared at the carpet. "I didn't think it would ever catch up to me," she whispered. I didn't answer. She looked up. "I swear to you, Ben, it was one time." I met her eyes. "You think that matters?" Tears spilled over. But I wasn't moved. Not anymore. "I was drunk," she continued. "We were packing his boxes. Reminiscing. He kissed me. I should have stopped it, but you didn't. She nodded. I didn't. She wiped her face with the sleeve of her cardigan. When I found out I was pregnant, I panicked. I wanted it to be yours. I needed it to be yours. So you just rolled the dice? Melissa flinched. I told myself it didn't matter. That you were his father in every way that counted. No, I said. You told yourself what made your guilt easier to live with. She buried her face in her hands. I thought I could bury it. Move on. Be a good wife. A good mother. I downed the rest of the drink. You buried it in me. For 11 years. You watched me build a life on a lie and never once said a word. I was scared. You were selfish. The silence between us stretched. Then she whispered, "What happens now?" I stood. Now. I walked over to the bookshelf, pulled out the manila folder, handed it to her. She flipped through it, eyes wide. DNA reports, legal documents, the trust, the transfer of the house, the updated will. This, she said, voice shaking. You already did all this. I nodded. I started the day I confirmed Liam wasn't mine. She looked up, stunned. Why didn't you confront me sooner? Because I wanted you to think you were safe. I wanted to see how long you'd keep pretending. She clutched the folder like it might disappear. You're divorcing me, she said flatly. Yes. Is there any way, any possible way, I can fix this? I didn't even blink. You ruined this family over a one-night stand, I said. There's no fixing that. She stood slowly, like her body had suddenly aged. What about Liam? She whispered. I stepped closer. Liam is my son. Not by blood. Not because of biology. But because I showed up. I raised him. I never lied to him. She nodded, eyes red. He's still yours, she said, voice cracking. I didn't correct her. Let her have that for now. But in my mind, that word, yours, felt paper thin. She walked toward the door, turned back one last time. Ben, I did love you. I stared at her. Then why did you destroy me? She didn't have an answer. So she left. The hardest part wasn't losing my wife. It was watching the boy I raised crumble under the weight of her lies. The house felt empty, even with both of us in it. Melissa was gone. Just gone. She didn't take much. A few clothes. Her toothbrush. Her perfume was still in the bathroom cabinet, though, and the scent lingered like a ghost every time I walked past. Liam barely came out of his room the next day. He didn't ask for breakfast. Didn't turn on the TV. Just silence. The kind of silence that settles in a house after a funeral. I knocked around noon. No answer. I opened the door slowly. He was sitting on the floor, his back against the wall, knees pulled to his chest. When he looked up at me, his face was blotchy, red eyes, puffy cheeks. That soft childhood roundness in his face had been replaced overnight with something sharper. Older. Broken. Hey, bud, I said softly. Can I sit? He didn't speak, just nodded. I sat beside him. We both stared straight ahead, the air thick and tight. Then, in the quietest voice I've ever heard him use, he asked, why did she lie? Not did she lie. Why? Like he'd already accepted the betrayal. He just needed a reason to make it livable. I didn't sugarcoat it. Because she was afraid, I said. And when people are afraid, they sometimes do the worst things. She lied to both of us. That cracked something in me. Because he wasn't just angry. He wasn't even just sad. He felt betrayed. And worse, he blamed himself. Was I a mistake? He asked, voice shaking. Did she wish she had a different life? No, I said immediately. You were never the mistake, Liam. She made the mistake. You were the best thing in my life. Period. He wiped his nose with the sleeve of his hoodie. Does this mean we're not really family? I turned to him. Look at me. He didn't want to, but he did. You're my son. I don't care what a DNA test says. I was there for your first step. Your first fever. Your first night sleeping in a big boy bed. He sniffled. I remember. I'm not going anywhere, I said. You're still mine. If you want to be. He nodded slowly. Yeah, I want to be. I pulled him into me then, and he collapsed. The sobs came in waves. All that fear, confusion, shame, everything he didn't know how to say poured out in hot, shaking tears. And I just held him. Held him the way I did when he was 3 and afraid of thunderstorms. Held him the way his real father never did. Later that evening, we sat on the couch. He asked questions I never thought a child should have to ask. Is Uncle Zach going to be in my life now? Only if you want him to be, I said. I don't think I do. Not right now. Then that's okay. He nodded. Thought for a long moment. Will she come back? Maybe, I said honestly. But that doesn't mean she'll stay. Another pause. If she does, I don't want to see her. Not yet. You don't have to. He looked up at me. Is it okay if I just want things to go back to the way they were? God, I wanted that too. But I couldn't lie to him. Not now. Not ever again. I wish we could, I said. But we'll build something new. Something better. Just you and me. He rested his head against my arm and whispered, okay. She shattered our family in silence. So I let her feel the silence back. The papers were filed the following Monday. Irreconcilable differences. Adultery. Emotional betrayal. My lawyer advised I keep it clean, civil on the surface, devastating underneath. Melissa didn't contest. Didn't call. Didn't show up. Didn't even flinch, legally speaking. I think she knew the fight was over before it started. I'd already won. The house. Mine. The assets. Divided through the trust I'd already secured. Liam? Staying with me. She asked for some time before seeing him again. I didn't argue. Neither did he. Zach moved out of state. Just packed up his bachelor apartment, told our parents he had a new opportunity, and disappeared. Left no forwarding address. Didn't even say goodbye. Coward. I got a voicemail from him a week later. Slurred voice. Something about regrets and timing and not meaning to hurt anyone. I didn't respond. Delete. Melissa, on the other hand, tried once more. She showed up at Liam's school. Waited by the pickup line. Hair down. Oversized sunglasses hiding the shame she still wore like perfume. He saw her from the car window. Dad, he said, his voice suddenly small. I turned off the engine. Do you want to talk to her? He thought for a moment, then shook his head. I'm not ready. I nodded. We pulled away without a word. In the rearview mirror, she didn't chase us. Just stood there. Alone. Finally, my parents, God bless them, were torn. At first, my mom tried to play peacekeeper. She made a mistake, Ben. A horrible one. Yes, but maybe forgiveness. No, I said. You don't forgive someone who buried the truth in your child's face for 11 years. My father? He was quieter. Just clapped a hand on my shoulder and said, you did right by the boy. That's what matters. That's all I needed to hear. The rest of the family? Well, betrayal spreads like mold. Melissa's parents were mortified. Her mother cried when she called me. Told me I was the best thing to ever happen to their daughter, and she blew it. I don't know who she is anymore, she whispered. Neither did I. At night, Liam and I would sit on the porch. We didn't talk about her much. Sometimes he'd ask questions, soft ones. Do you think she's sad? Probably, I'd say. Do you think she regrets it? I hope so. But the question he asked most often, will she come back? And the answer I always gave, she might. But that doesn't mean we have to let her in. It took 6 weeks for the divorce to be finalized. 6 weeks for Melissa Carter to legally become someone I used to know. She signed the last page in silence. Didn't look at me. Didn't cry. I think, by then she knew. Some wounds don't heal. Some doors, once closed, stay shut. Some men get second chances handed to them. Others have to build them with shaking hands and broken tools. It was late fall by the time the dust settled. The leaves outside had turned. Reds. Oranges. Browns. A full reset. Like even the world wanted to shed what it used to be. Liam was doing better. Not perfect. Not healed. But better. He smiled more. Laughed again. At his own jokes. At dumb cartoons. At the way our dog always failed to catch the tennis ball. I'd catch him staring sometimes, though. At old photos. Family portraits. School projects where he'd proudly written Dad, Ben Carter. And I knew he was still carrying it. But at least he wasn't carrying it alone. One Saturday, I told him to pack a bag. Where are we going? He asked, eyes lighting up. I just smiled. You'll see. We drove for 3 hours. Out past the suburbs, through winding country roads, until the trees opened up and the gravel crunched beneath the tires of our old SUV. We pulled into the driveway of my childhood home. It looked smaller than I remembered. Liam stared at it, wide-eyed. This is where you grew up. Yep. The paint was chipped. The porch sagged slightly. But it stood, stubborn and solid, just like my father built it. I still owned it. Rented it out for years. But the lease was up, and I hadn't renewed. Thought we could make some memories here, I said. Just the two of us. Fix it up. You know, build something new. He grinned. I get my own room. You get the one with the view of the woods. I used to pretend it was a jungle when I was your age. His face lit up, and in that moment, I saw it. The possibility of peace. We spent the weekend scrubbing floors, airing out old closets, and hammering loose nails. He helped me repaint the front door. Bright blue. His choice. You sure? I asked, half laughing. It's bold. He dipped the brush again, grinning. That's the point. That night, we sat on the back steps, wrapped in hoodies, sipping hot chocolate out of mismatched mugs we found in a box labeled Carter Kitchen, 1997. The stars above us were brutal and beautiful. Liam leaned his head against my shoulder. Do you think it'll ever stop hurting? He asked. I didn't answer right away. Just let the question breathe. Maybe not all the way, I said. But the pain gets smaller when you fill your life with better things. He nodded, slow. I want better things. You'll have them. He was quiet for a while. Then he said, softly, You're still my dad, right? I turned to him, eyes burning. Liam, I said, you are my son, not by blood, but by choice. And I'll keep choosing you. Every day? He smiled. A real one. And in that moment, something cracked wide open inside me. Not pain, not grief. Hope. The truth didn't destroy us. It set fire to the lie and left us standing in what was finally real. It happened on a Tuesday. Melissa showed up unannounced. No warning, no message. Just her standing at the edge of our new driveway, hands buried in her coat pockets, hair pinned up like it hadn't been in months. She looked tired. Not the kind that sleep fixes. The kind that regret carves into your bones. Liam saw her first from the window. Mom's here. Just like that. No emotion in his voice. Not anger. Not warmth. Just fact. I came to the door. We locked eyes through the screen. Hi, she said. Quiet. Careful. Hi. I didn't come to make things harder. Then why are you here? She looked down. I wanted to ask if I could talk to Liam. Just for a minute. I'll leave it up to him. I nodded. Turned back inside. Liam, I said, it's your choice. He stood at the foot of the stairs, arms crossed, eyes locked on the floor. A long pause. Then, okay. They sat on the porch. I stayed inside. Didn't eavesdrop. Didn't hover. Let him have this. 15 minutes passed. 20. I saw her cry once. Saw him wipe his eyes too. But no shouting. No hugs. Just two people sitting in the ashes of what used to be a family, trying to breathe in the smoke without choking. Eventually, she stood, touched his hand, then walked away without looking back. He came inside, kicked off his shoes. Want to talk about it? I asked. He shook his head. Not now. I nodded. Whenever you're ready. That night, after dinner, he came into the living room with a piece of paper. I wrote something for school, he said. Can I read it? He handed it over. It was a short essay. Just one page. Topic. Who is your hero? He'd written, My dad is my hero. Not because we shared DNA, but because he stayed when the truth got ugly. Because he never lied to me. Because love is not in blood. It's in the choices you make, even when they hurt. I couldn't speak. Could barely see the words through the blur in my eyes. Do you think it's good enough? He asked. I looked up at him. Voice cracking. It's perfect. We burned the old family tree that weekend. The one he made for school. The one with all the wrong names in the wrong places. He asked if we could start a new one. Just us. I nodded. So we drew it together. Just two names. Ben Carter, Liam Carter. No branches. No lies. Just roots. Deep. Honest. Enough.